Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Planetary Encodement, December 11th, 2023. And I guess it's our last planetary encodement for the year. I don't know about all of you. I'm going to kind of review what we went over for the whole year, but I know that I'm not sure how okay, I'm going to just introduce myself. I should also do that. My name is Ray Ellen Sievert. I am the resident astrologer for Light Body Academy. And I guess I classify myself as an eclectic astrologer. I know a little bit about this and a little bit about that, and I kind of mix it together and see what comes up. It's just like I have all modes. I don't really have any specific way of coming up with what I come up with, except for the fact that I know about what astrology is. And actually, it's a study of harmonics. That's what actually astrology is. We use the star systems, but it's actually an energetic force of our particular biosuit and the cosmos. At the time we take our first breath, we are impressed with a particular energy form, and that encompasses what we will experience in our lifetime. Oftentimes we get challenges, and sometimes we get gifts. And so oftentimes when we do get the gifts, so we don't, they're so natural to us that oftentimes we don't even use them. We think that everybody has those things. It's like being able to see auras from the time of your birth and thinking that everybody sees auras. You don't think it's anything special because you have this natural ability. But that said, our human race as a collective goes through what our solar system has to offer during our lifetime. So I guess I kind of wanted to review a couple things. I'm going to review what we went through this year astrologically, but I kind of wanted to give an idea of the symbols of astrology. Oftentimes we listen to astrological talks, and they'll talk about the sun, and they'll talk about the moon, and they'll talk about Mercury, and then they'll talk about Venus. And I just thought that I would hold up these little cards here and give you an idea of what each of these particular glyphs stand for in the chart. So the first one is the sun, okay? And the sun is basically that energetic force that we will encompass during our lifetime. So I happen to be a Cancer. That's what your sun sign is. It's kind of like the energy that you embody during this lifetime. It's kind of like that's your line of least resistance. It's naturally who you are and how you relate to the world around you. The next glyph is the moon. This is what the moon looks like. And oftentimes the moon in your chart will talk about programs in your biosuit. It's your past. But what we want to do when we can take our past and requalify it, we bring it to experiencing the world around you from a feeling level. So the lower aspect of the moon is feeling how we feel through our emotions. And emotions are always programs that we have been programmed into our body through our racial heritages, through our lineages, through how we relate to our parents. It's how we relate to the world through our emotions. But what we in Light Body are what we're doing now is we're taking that moon and bringing the way we relate to the world to a feeling level so that we can feel joy. And when we feel anger, we feel anger. These are higher levels. It's not the anger can be released on emotions, but it also can be how you express yourself in the moment in an authentic way as well. It has to do with love. It has to do with authenticity. So you have all these feelings. So we're taking the moon right now and we are transforming those programs and bringing them to a higher level. But the moon looks like this little curved disc. It's a reflection of the sun. The next one is Mercury. And if you look at, if you can see Mercury, we often talk about Mercury retrograde, but Mercury is the messenger of the gods. Mercury is a little like head above a cross, and it has little feelers on it. Mercury is all about communication. So the little feelers, the messengers of the gods, is about how you perceive the world around you and how you communicate that. But it's also, Mercury takes your communications and also goes to an act of assimilating it. And so therefore you take information in, you assimilate it, and you bring it back out. But Mercury is all about communication. And when you have Mercury retrograde, that means you are going into a period of deep reflection of what you have been processing in the weeks before and the weeks before, during, and after as it's going retrograde. Mercury is going retrograde in Capricorn, so we are going to be reflecting on how we communicate the structures that we have been programmed with around us. It's kind of like how we want to assess communicating with integrity. If we are, it's a Capricorn thing. It has to do with how we want to communicate to authority figures or authority figures communicating to us. So when Mercury goes retrograde in Capricorn, we are going to be experiencing our superiors and how they communicate to us, or how we communicate our authentic authoritative self with integrity, with accountability. So this is what we will be experiencing now until the middle of January. Venus is a little disc, a little circle above a cross, and Venus has to do with reflection. It reflects, it's kind of like the looking glass. It has to do with relationships, but it also has to do with manifesting lost my train of thought for it. It's manifesting what we love most. That's why Venus is all about our talents, So when we talk about Venus, it has two aspects of it. It's one, the Tarian aspect of it, which is manifesting what we deeply love, which are our talents, so that we can bring love to what we do in our jobs. Not often, that doesn't always often happen, but the highest aspect of that, manifesting what we really love to do, that deepest talents within this. But also, Venus is all about our relationships. We're bringing our love relationships in, whether it's to our children, our spouse, or those around us. And they are reflections of how we want to relate to the world around us. That's all about Venus. This is Mars. Mars is a little circle with the arrow. So Mars has to do with our passion. It has to do with our courage. It has to do with how we initiate. So when we have Mars in our chart, it's where we take action. And right now, the new moon coming up is going to be conjunct Mars. So the new moon is happening tomorrow. New moons is always new beginnings. So when the new moon occurs is how we are going to initiate and take action with our passion of how we want to bring forth authentic truth. So this new moon period from now and for the next month is, what do we want to bring forth? How do we want to take action? That's the highest level of it. We also can have reaction to people around us that aren't telling the truth. So therefore we can become very aggressive. So it's all going to be, the next few weeks is about how we are going to take action in bringing the truth forward for us and how we're going to express that. This is Jupiter. Here's Jupiter up here. It's kind of like it has the moon and it has the cross with it. So it's relating our belief system on the physical plane. It's where we expand. It's where we experience benevolence or give benevolence. It has to do with where our belief systems are activated. That's what Jupiter's all about. So when we talk about Jupiter, we're talking about where we are going to expand that essential authenticity within ourselves and give it to other people around us. It's our gifts that we give people. Here's Saturn. Okay, Saturn has to do with our structures and how we discipline ourselves, where we bring mastery forth. Oftentimes, astrologers will talk about Saturn being, they don't like Saturn just because they got to follow they feel like they got to follow the rules. But if you take your experiences that you want to bring forth most and want to master them so that you can become the best person that you can, it's all about discipline. It's all about it, and it's not about actually always following structures. It's taking those structures and deciding what part of that you wish to embrace and which you do not want to embrace. It's bringing forth what you want to master in a very deep level. Next is Uranus. And Uranus is where, if we talk about Uranus, it's always about unpredictability. So wherever you have Uranus in the chart, or if people are talking about Uranian energies, it's all about where things are being shaken up. It's always where we take in it's always about uniqueness, but it can be about uniqueness, but it's where we get caught in a rut and things are being shaken up. And then comes Neptune. This has to do with our intuition. This has to do with the deep part of ourself that we want to bring forth on a deep level of those intuitive flashes. And the only reason I'm bringing this forth is so that when I talk about these, you can have a better idea of what I'm talking about. And the last is Pluto. And I love Pluto. Pluto is a planet of transformation. And I love it because it looks like a little dish with a circle. And to me, it's about divine alchemy. Pluto is all about transforming something so that you can bring it to a higher level. It's all about alchemy. So when I talk about about any of these planets, maybe you have a little bit of a better idea what they're bringing forth. So that said, in reviewing the year, Saturn, the planet of discipline, the planet of mastery, what we are doing as a collective, entered the sign of Pisces in, let's see, February of this year, I think. No, March, I'm sorry, March of this year. So for the next 2-year period, all of us as a collective are taking Saturn and we are mastering the art of listening to our intuition when we receive it. How often have you had a flash of, I think I should do this, and then you don't do it?
Mm.
And then you say, well, I should have followed my intuition.
Okay.
So, Saturn in Pisces from now until almost 2025. And as we are speak right now, one of the energies that you can initiate into your life, a discipline that you can bring forth for your mastery, is to start following your intuition and not deny that inner knowledge that you know the truth. So that is how you're going to bring your integrity. We as a race right now have the opportunity to master and bring forth and trust our intuition. So that's really important. So reviewing this last year, it was introduced to us. So this is something that you can bring into your everyday life. And every time you have those intuitive flashes, it's really telling you something. And you can even mark it down, mark it on the calendar, or say, I have strong feelings about this. And see if you can take action on that and bring your authenticity forth in following your intuition. Okay, reviewing the year, Pluto, remember, Pluto's all about transformation. It's about divine alchemy. It is finishing up its, let's see, 2008 to now. Pluto entered Capricorn in 2008. So for the next rest of the year till the end of the year, 2024, Pluto is giving us the opportunity to transform outdated structures that we have been imposed upon us. Christina has talked about Saturn and how Saturn has to do with the structures that we've been following, have to do with the medical system, our educational system, our military, our environment. Many parts of all of those have been structured from from the very, very, very past. So what we are doing is transforming that part of ourself that does not fit with what the establishment has said to be true. That said, in 2020, when the oh my God, what is the word? The La Cucaracha. But that's what the epidemic. What was it?
Yeah, say the epidemic.
The epidemic. Yeah, I know. I was going to say the epidemic, but that didn't seem right. We were put in quarantine for this epidemic, okay? And what that gave us the opportunity to see was how we have been controlled in our life. Everything was shut down. So it gave people the opportunity to review how they view the medical system. everything was shut down. It was shut down from our families. We were shut down from churches. We were religion. But it gave us the opportunity to see what was really important to us. And it gave us the opportunity to maybe make different choices within our life. And that was the very end of Pluto in Capricorn. So right now, everything that does not fit with the way we view the world, we can take action and make different choices of how we want to educate ourselves, how we want to take care of ourselves medically, whether it's through herbs or whether it's following the established system. Okay, it has to do with the environment. How do we want to take care of the environment? Do we want to listen to what the status quo is, or do we want to do with what's in our hearts? How do we want to relate to religions? Because we basically were put back under ourselves, and many of people started questioning what do they really believe in. So all of these choices are at critical mass right now, and we get to make new choices. And that is going to be really ending by the end of 2024. So these are things that we are going to take in and look at a really, really deep level. Earlier this year, there was an eclipse in Aries at 29 degrees. That was the precursor to the eclipse that is going to be happening in April 8th of 2024. So this eclipse at 29 Aries had to do with really assessing how we related to the world around us. And how are we taking action to develop our authenticity and our true essence? And anything that's not aligned with that, we have a lot of us have been, especially in light body, have been looking at our ancestral heritage and healing that. We've been going through death rites. Now, death rites have to do with parts of ourselves that are no longer valid. We've been opening up to our multidimensional self on all new levels. We, like relating to our star seed heritage, knowing that yes, we are humans having an experience on our planet that we live in, but know that we also have DNA from not only our parents and our ancestors, but we also have off the planet heritage as well. So we're opening up to all of that. And we're deciding what we want to be informed with. And anything that doesn't align with our highest truth, our heart consciousness, we have been eliminating. So that eclipse was so important to assess how we want to relate as a soul to each and every person that we interact with and to the world around us. So that when we experience the big solar eclipse that's going to go across the United States, and when it goes across a particular continent, it's more powerful, so that we can take action and really embrace and walk into what we really want to become, what we really want to be, and it's not even wanting, that isn't even the word. We are stepping forth and relating to the world around us, not from our programs, but from how we relate to each other and the world around us. So we're viewing the world, and we're interacting with it versus being what is the word? Let's see. interacting with it versus being, and it's not the word victim, but oh my gosh, I don't know why I keep losing my consciousness, but
Hey, Ellen,
yes,
would you say like that we're going to see the world around us more through the eyes and our hearts more than our minds?
yes, yes, yes. And we're not being reactive, we're interactive. That would be the word.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. And we're viewing, yes, from a more heart-centered place. Yes, Aries. And we're taking action. Aries is all, oftentimes Aries say they're impulsive, but Aries is innocence. We are acting, yes, we will be reacting to the world through innocence, through childlike eyes, not being childish, but childlike eyes, viewing the world with like awe and all of that. So, because we have gotten some of these programs that have been put upon us that are no longer valid, we're still clearing stuff out. I'm sure many of you heard on the news that we've been having a lot of solar activity. And we talked about as the sun is, as we are going through transformation, we are in a direct response to our sun. So our sun is going through a gigantic accelerated shift. It's going through its own transformation at this time. And it's affecting the heliosphere that we live in. And heliosphere is our solar system. That is all the planets that revolve around the sun. So, as it goes through the shift, it's been radiating light codes and activating our DNA, those codes that have been coded within our biosuit in a whole brand new way. So, we have the ability more easily to see through the veils so that we can relate to the world differently around us. So that's what the sun is doing. So the sun is going through an upgrade. So whenever you see, you know, flares coming out of the sun and saying, no, there's going to be a solar storm coming, know that you have an opportunity to actually view the world in a whole different light. Because embracing this radiance from the sun and taking it in and activating your heart center, you get to experience authenticity that has been deeply, deeply hidden within us for many, many eons. And we're waking up to that. We're waking up to different parts of ourselves. Since December 2nd, I don't know if anybody saw pictures on the news of this big coronal hole on the sun. Okay. I started meditating on that. It's different than solar flares. Solar flares, they kind of like emit a particular energy and causes like energetic storms on our planet. It shoots things forth. But a coronal hole is different. It's an opening that comes up because they have discovered that that hole, that dark spot, is just a cooler spot on the sun. So I decided to do a little research about coronal holes because I didn't know anything about them. And what they do is when the solar hole, the coronal hole opens up, a wind comes out. Kind of like a solar wind is emitted from this solar coronal hole. I thought about that and I didn't wanted to take it to a deeper level and not scientifically. So since our sun, our star is a light being, a living being, a light force, what came forth was that the coronal hole was transmitting energies deep within her heart consciousness and transmitting that to all the planets within our solar system, all the sentient beings. So I thought about that hole, and it kind of looked like, if you look at our physical beating heart, if you walk behind our heart, there's a way to get inside our beating heart. And it kind of looked the same way. So I just felt like this coronal hole was like the heart center opening up within our sun and radiating that true heart light essence to us, so that we have an opportunity to embrace our heart in a whole different way. The transmission's coming forth even as we speak. So just kind of observe yourself and see how you're viewing the world around you. And last, this year, Neptune is going to be completing, going into the end of next year, Neptune is going to be completing its transit through the sign of Pisces. Neptune is the great dissolver. And what it's been doing, transiting through Pisces, is dissolving the collective's belief system so we can start developing a belief system that is more congruent to who we are. And it's not because we've been told to believe a certain way, go to church, this is the way it is. I mean, we have great wars over religion all the time. So it's also, again, like Pisces has to do with following the rules, but the higher aspect of that is following that deep intuitive knowing within ourselves. So again, that's bringing that forth. So we have the opportunity to start embracing and restructuring those that intuitive part of ourselves that we have been taught to not embrace. So this is a few weeks, probably 10 days to the winter solstice. And what is the winter solstice? In the northern hemisphere, the winter solstice is the longest night and the shortest day. But what does that mean on an esoteric or a metaphysical level? It means that light is deepest, 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 deepest within ourselves. So I don't know about you, but I've kind of been in this lull of knowing I'm on the cusp of some new beginning, but I'm not there yet. And I kind of view these weeks, especially this year, as kind of like we're in a kind of life review right now. We are viewing everything that we have gone through throughout this year, or throughout actually since 2012, and maybe since 2000. I don't know. We are getting, everything is being activated more and more and more. So we're in an intense life review right now, and we can't make choices to go into our future at this time because we're still finishing up what we haven't completed yet. So it's good, it's this right now, especially this new moon all the way to the solstice, which is going to be December 21st. It's a good time to ask yourself some essential questions. And I know that each of you have asked these questions before, but you are going to be asking them from a different level. Who am I? Really contemplate that. And I'm sure you've asked that question many, many, many times, but because each of you have been doing a lot of work on yourself, sit with yourself and actually go within yourself and feel that essence of who you are. What is my purpose? right now, Uranus, remember I told you about Uranus? It shakes things up. Uranus is, and it's conjunct. That means it's a birth process of Mars heliocentric nodes. That means that in the sign of Taurus. So Taurus has to do with our value system. It's what we want to manifest. So right now we are in a prime time of shaking ourselves up and shattering anything that is not essential to what we want to manifest. What keeps us from manifesting our authentic destiny? And that has to do with, what is my purpose? You know, and what is my meaning? What is my meaning? What is the meaning of my life? I'm sure you have these questions many times, but as your life evolves, your answers change. And each and every one of us are in a different place that we were when we first started asking these questions, because we wouldn't be on this path if we hadn't asked these questions in the first place. So during the next few weeks, we are proceeding into the deep light of who we are. That inner light, it's going within, it's going into that light so deep inside of your heart and letting it emanate something within you that is so essential to how you relate to the world around you. It's an excellent time to journey within yourself, to discover parts of yourself that are keeping you from your inner contentment. I mean, we go through discontentment because of circumstances. Maybe traffic holds us up or this or that, but these are little things. It's our everyday discontentment with just our small irritations. But it's our we may have we might have discontentment because we haven't embraced all that we can be. Because when you are in your purpose, yes, you can be discontent with certain things around you, but you still know you're going forward. And this is what we are discovering in the next few weeks. We have an opportunity to really ask these questions so that when we go into 2024 and we're finally being aware of the programs within us that no longer serve us, so that we can truly walk in the light of our essential self and be at peace. Because when you're walking in your essential self, you can have chaos all around you, but you're still in that inner peace. So, in Light Body Essentials, which I think that one of you, I don't know how many are you in Light Body Essentials, we have some foundational some foundational actions that we can take. such as meditation, spending time with yourself, going within for self-discovery, closing your eyes, taking deep breaths, taking that time out to go inside of yourself and listening to that small voice within yourself and feeding it so that it can be a large voice within yourself and you can have a conversation with it and truly be happy with the conversation. Being behind your eyes, being the witness to the world around you, knowing that as you view the world around you, each and every one of us can see the same circumstance, but we each view it through our own virtual reality. What I see and you see, and even though we're looking at the same circumstance and the same event, we'll view it through our own filters. So therefore, being behind your eyes and trying to truly see what is. And then this goes hand in hand with being a witness to your environment. Now, I'm going to bring up a little bit of my personal life here in the fact that after writing this up, I realized that I'm not being the witness that I wish to accomplish. Just recently, it feels like my husband is very contemplative. And, he hasn't studied what we study, and he's just being in his everyday world. And I'm saying, well, what are you thinking about? And he says, nothing, nothing. And I said, but feels like you're distant and you're thinking about something. And he says, no, I'm not thinking about anything. So I thought, well, okay, maybe that's where he's coming from. But then I realized I have to take it deeper within myself and witness what I perceive that he may, and not that he's feeling, but just perceive him as looking at the world around him and not taking it personally. Hear what he's saying with objectivity. Really feeling maybe he's emanating sadness. Maybe he's emanating contemplation. Maybe, but I got to take it back within myself and be objective. So that's what the witness is all about. It's looking at the world around you objectively. So practice staying in your heart. Taking everything back, being home with yourself. Bringing your light energy around your body, which we call the Viracocha, the essence of who you are. And I know firsthand that works. Um, sometimes when we're in it, thank God we have each other because we remind each other when we forget. And I went through a dilemma with one of my animals, and um, I was just totally distraught about it. And then I talked to somebody in Light Body, and they said, bring your Viracocha around yourself and the animal. And I did, and I got tremendous insight, and I saved my animal's life by just doing that. But I forgot because I was just so in my dilemma. So when you're in these things and you do this, you have no idea how powerful it is. It's the light and the essence of who you are. So these are just a few pointers that when we go through the next year of disciplining and mastering our intuition and listening to our inner selves, being objective and seeing the world around us and not making opinions about what we think we see, but actually taking it back within our heart and feeling what is real and not going by our programs of reaction. All of that's really important of what we're doing. And from now until the solstice, because we're going deep and deeper into that light that's so deep within us. And that's why the winter solstice the solstice is our sacred time. But I really feel myself that the winter solstice is probably one of the most sacred days of all the year. It's the time when we are in the greatest darkness, but we can go deepest and see the most brilliant light. And that light is within our heart. We have an opportunity to do that. So that's what's happening.